Hello, we're excited. This is our first day of shoot, and we have here our crew. We have our lighting director, Tom Schneider here. Tom, you wave. It's for our documentary. Toto is our set designer. And then Paul is production assistant. Paul, could you give us a wave? Then this is Griffin. He's going to be our cameraman. Of course, we have Andrew as our DP. Father Iwancho is somewhere here, but we'll get him later, and also our producer, Luke Deal. I'm Emmanuel Eulalia. I'm the director of the theater productions here at St. Francis. I'm the chair for the Visual and Performing Arts Department. So, the scene here, he talks to this guy first, and then he goes in there. Hibbert enters. So he's going to walk just here, right? When you talk to Hibbert, where do you stay?
Just right here.
Right here.
Where's Hibbert going to be?
Coming down.
He comes down and he goes over there.
Where Paul is, and he's going to just stay there with Taylor. Well, summer's the time when I always kind of look around and look for what play and what production, and it wasn't getting any, the situation wasn't getting any better. So I'm sure we won't be able to do a production, but I didn't want this year not to have anything or not to have a production, especially for the seniors or of course, those who are going to be part of the production. I want to do something for them and the theater for them. So what I decided to do was to choose a play that has, I was thinking, okay, the best way we could do it is to film it. And like one at a time and even space. So I chose a play that has less cast members, and that there are a lot of scenes where it's just the two of them or one person kind of scenes. So you won't have a problem of filming everybody at the same time. So, and then I met with, I decided I have to hire a producer, somebody who knows what they do outside in the field, and Luke Deal, who's an alum. He's been working with us in theater for a number of years now as stage manager.
Hi, my name is Luke Deal, class of 2013, and I'm a producer on this show.
Right, you see? Censorship. I call out all he says about me.
In previous productions, I was mostly a stage manager, working with props and building sets and running the stage crew during the actual shows, but this I had a little bit more of a hands-on experience. I did everything from writing our COVID protocols to script management, scheduling, and as well building some of the sets like this beautiful trench here. I think the most challenging part about pre-production was getting our heads around like how we were actually going to pull something like this off. Like, is it possible to do this during a pandemic? And if we determine that if professionals can do it, then we can do it too.
He was assigned to do all of these things and came out with all these things regarding rules, what we need to do on set, how we're going to film it. And then we decided 10 days of filming from then on. So before those 10 days, critical 10 days of filming, we had rehearsals first from Zoom, which is not the most appropriate, but what can you do, right? So we did Zoom rehearsals. I did one-on-ones rehearsals on Zoom, but with the dialect coach. So each person had sessions, almost like for the leads, they had like almost every week, twice a week. And then we were ready to go in person. And the rehearsal is, since there are only 14 members in the cast, that's easier. So we were in the theater, spread out. They had their own little bubble, and they shouldn't. I stopped them, of course, if they kind of crossed those bubbles and tried to say hello to each other. But they wear masks, we have thermal check, all the things that we need to do before they enter. This time, we usually have a spread for food. We can't. So we had everything wrapped. And if you touch it, you take it kind of deal. And then when you have when we had rehearsals, they were in their bubbles until they are needed on stage. And once they are on stage, not only do they wear a mask, we ask them to wear a shield. So I have to wear a shield and mask. I need to protect them, and I need to protect myself too. So in every scene, if there's a character change, we pause And then I have this power sprayer to disinfect. The doors are all open all the time, though. So circulation, air circulation. And so we use power spray and clean the whole place, the set. And then we start again. And then we rehearse. A couple of weeks like that, and then time to film.
Journey's End, Scene 1A, Take 1A, action.
So it was really a challenge, and I'm just so impressed and in awe with the actors, because it's their first time to act, of course, in front of a camera. Number two, completely different from stage acting. Stage acting, you have to go big, But since this is film, this is television, this is a screen, you have to tone it down a little bit and be more internalizing with your acting. So we tried that. And they were, could you imagine acting in front of a camera, in front of a cameraman wearing face shield and mask, and you have this big confrontational scene, or this moment when you're saying goodbye, but you're saying goodbye to the camera, or to the wall. So it's hours of filming too, per person, per lead, because we have to take all their scenes opposite a person saying, we have our assistant director, Taylor, who would say the lines on the side, but you have to direct it towards them, so they have to be acting at the same time. And I'm in my little video village, not from, kind of staying away from them too. So on the floor itself, it's just the actor, one actor, and then the two cameramen, and then the assistant director. And then we take a break all the time too. Air out, all fans turn on and spray, and then start over.
Hi, my name is Tomas Garcia, and I play the role of Captain Stanhope.
He's up in those trenches now, still wondering, beginning to understand. And all these months he's wanted to be out here with me. Poor little devil. I believe Rally.
Performing for an audience, you're a lot more animated and bigger and larger, so the kid in the back can see and hear you just as well as the person in the front row. When you're being filmed on camera, you're a lot more nuanced and a lot smaller because the camera is right up to your face and can see everything you do. Another thing is, when we were being filmed on camera, we weren't with the other actors, we were being filmed by ourselves. So I had to bring a lot of the energy from myself as opposed to playing off of another actor. And that's a big, huge difference.
My name is Krish Malhotra, and I played the role of Rally in Journey's End.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
You the new officer?
Yes, I've been to battalion headquarters. They told me to report here.
The main difference this time around was that, one, weren't performing for live audiences, but also that there would be limited social interaction just because of the COVID regulations and safety guidelines. So we had to stay 6 feet apart, we had masks on, we had face shields, and so it was very different from other shows, but I think it kind of gave us more time to focus on our character because we were less distracted by social interactions.
My name is Jansen Vandiot, and I play the role of Osborne.
Think what a dear, level-headed old thing you are.
He was out here before I joined up. His experience alone is worth a dozen people like me.
You know as well as I do. You ought to be in command.
There isn't a man to touch him as commander of men. He'll command the battalion one day if he... If. You don't know him as I do. I love that fellow.
The COVID precautions really affected all of the rehearsals. There was a lot of face masks and face shields and social distancing. It was pretty difficult to maintain a character, but I think the whole cast did a really great job at keeping in character and really memorizing everything, even though we had, I guess, obstacles that really prevented us from seeing each other.
The difference between performing in front of a live audience and actually filming the play, it was a little bit hard to adapt to at first, but honestly my favorite days from being in Journey's End were the ones where we were filming. I had a really good time. It was a blast, honestly, acting as that military officer and being up close with the props and having the camera in your face, being able to show more facial expression, stuff like that. I had a really good time, yeah.
After 10 days of filming, now we give it to Andrew for editing. But in the meantime, he's been editing other scenes that have already been done.
Hello, my name is Andrew Kowalski. I was the director of photography and the main editor on the production of Journey's End.
I wish you'd turn in and sleep for a bit.
Sleep. Journey's End, scene 1D, take 3.
So as the director of photography, I was tasked with mainly having to communicate with Mr. Eulalia, the director, on the vision he had of what the look or the visual style of the film was going to be. So that came down to understanding what coverage we needed and even what the color of the film should look like, etc. So getting the coverage was obviously a big task because we filmed each person one at a time. And in doing that, we had to make sure that when we were shooting them, we didn't get where the other actor should be in frame. So, I worked with Griffin, my assistant, on him getting close-ups. I was getting more wide shots. So understanding that, and we kind of just got a rhythm going. So by the end of the film, the role, it wasn't too difficult, but in the beginning it was a lot of work.
My name is Griffin Cortez, and I was the assistant director of photography for Journey's End.
And when you're done, just move out of the way, okay?
You find it a bit strange.
Yes, I do, a bit.
So I was in charge of the props, or some of the props. I supplied some of the crates and stuffing for the sandbags, which are behind me. And I went and got that from my family's ranch, thanks to my parents, a generous offer from them. And so we bring that here, and it helped with the production. Okay, so right now we are going to pick up some supplies for the show. We're getting some crates, and we're getting a bunch of clothes to stuff the sandbags with, and we're getting some props and stuff. So we're taking this truck, and we're going to go pick all that stuff up right now.
So we built all of our sets in about 3 days. Our main room, we rented 4 of the walls, I'm sorry, 3 of the walls, and then we dressed them, painted them, and decorated them. That and this all took about, in total, 3 different work days, and working 5 or 6 hours of each of those days.
There was definitely a lot of pressure going in. I mean, being in charge of one of the 2 cameras, there's a lot of responsibility that if you don't get your shot, then it makes it harder in editing. So also because it was a pretty small timeline for how big of a show we're doing, but in the end, it turned out pretty well, so it's good.
All the scenes that were done in the trench and in the trench, those 2 scenes, that scenes. We hired, actually, I always hire him, our stunt coordinator, because he can block death scenes like crazy. It's wonderful with that. So he created those scenes for us, and I think those are the most exciting.
One of the challenges we faced was in the trench. It was a pretty difficult spot to film in, and it's very tight and condensed towards the actors, but we made it work, and we used some interesting camera angles to make it look realistic, and it turned out pretty well in the end.
I think my favorite part of filming this production was all the scenes that we did in this trench here. We had a lot of fun with both practical and digital effects.
So in post-production, I did a lot of the sound effects, kind of editing them and collecting them and putting them all together for the main editor to put into the production. And that includes a lot of the background noise, ambient noise, and all of the gunshots and trench sounds and all of that, and bombs. So it was a fun process, and I'm glad I got to do it.
Editing was a challenge in and of itself. It was very daunting to start because I think at first I didn't really realize how big it was going to be, because I was like, okay, I'm going to just start little scenes at a time. And as the film grew and as we got more and more footage coming into my computer every day, it started becoming a little bit more stressful, because I was like, okay, this one day we have one shot that needs to go to this other day that we shot. Like, there's just shots in one day that belonged in another day. It was really crazy, especially with the character of, his name's Mason. He's always walking in and out. So we would shoot him one day, and I couldn't find his stuff. So when I'd be editing, I'd be like spending like an hour trying to find footage. And that comes down to organization, but I would say the main challenge while editing was just finding the footage, specifically because, again, we shot with different days, so different actors were on different days. So having to piece that together in editing was a challenge, and then by the end of the editing, the actual time constraint became sort of an issue, because when you have a film that's an hour and 40 minutes, every time you need to go through it again, it's at least an hour and 40 minutes it's going to take to look through it. Because, if you're making a short film that's like 10 minutes long, it's pretty simple to just go through it multiple times to check for things. But when it's that long, it's going to take that long to, maybe add in sound effects you need, add in color, go and do the sound mixing. It becomes, so as the film becomes more edited, it gets more challenging as it goes.
Actors our actors anyway, are always, they always listen. And I actually give them some liberties. They have some liberties in how they want to interpret. And then if it's something that's not in the line of what we want, then I talk to them. And of course, socially listen. But yeah, those things are not really a big issue, because everyone's just on board, on the same page. We kind of read each other's minds now. The staff and the editor and kind of thing. We kind of just have those things, and we just work at it. And it is challenging because, you're filming. You always have to be thinking of sequence of how they can emote the scene, not on stage but on screen, which is, like I said, different. So that we maintain our masks, is all three will have masks except for the one we're filming, so you can get that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then when it's his turn,
Yeah, great idea.
So watching the film on the end and the big screen, it was very exciting. It was a great moment because of all the hard work we put in was finally complete, and you could see a final product all put together at the end.
The premiere night was very fun. I didn't get much sleep the night before because I was kind of editing it, but by the time it was time to go to the premiere, it was fun, and seeing it on the big screen was really exciting, specifically because this is like my first big film, I guess. So seeing it on a screen was really fun, and it was nice to see all the hard work being paid off. And I liked specifically getting the reaction from the actors, like seeing what the actors thought, because, you know, from the perspective of an actor, it must have been difficult to sort of see how the performance would be portrayed on screen, since it's, again, they were acting to no one there. So it was fun hearing from the actors what they thought of it, and the whole community seemed to enjoy it, so it was fun.
You're more, you feel all of these things after the fact, just because still during that time for screening, you're still working in a sense. You're still stressed, and there's still stress because, you know, what if the screen shuts off, or the camera, or the projector, and all these things are in your head. So I don't really have a peaceful moment that I actually would just relish until after. So after that, then, you know, although, you know, when we were screening with Andrew, when we were talking about the scenes, and he would send it to us per act, then of course that's enjoyable. That's the most wonderful, fulfilling moment. At the same time, you know, you kind of, right, when it screens, you know, I'm not even asking for what reaction they'll have. It's just the success that, you know, that they're able to view, whether, you know, that we were able to be triumphant in filming it and showing it to them.
All right, that's a wrap on day 10. Everyone, great job.